is the second part of sail repairs on my haul out progress report so far, part 39. This is my introduction to Sailing Wilson on YouTube. I own a 2013 Island Spirit catamaran, 38 foot in length, and I really love my boat. I'm sure you've heard this before, but please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and push on the notification bell. That'd help a lot. By the way, please share my videos with other people you know. I'm currently on the hard stand at Rebec Island Shipyard, which is in the top middle of the photograph. Rebec Island is a resort island just off the main island of Langkawi in Malaysia. Here's a Google Earth image of my boat just beside the blue dot on the hard stand. And here's a photograph of my boat just after I finished putting the copper coat on. I've still got a lot of work to do. After 13 months, nearly 14 months on the hard stand at Rebec Island hard stand and resort, we finally splashed the boat. Still had a lot of work to do, but I got fed up and got the boat back into the water, and we left the marina on the second day, and there was a good chance to test the engines and the rest of the systems and see what else was not working quite right after 14 months. And it was a beautiful day with hardly any wind. It didn't matter about the wind because we didn't have any sails up at that stage. That's the whole point of this video, isn't it? The installation of the sails, both the forestay and the main sail and the Genoa sail, and a couple of other things, the sail bag of course. So we travelled north from Rebec Island to Talaga Harbour on Langkawi Island. It's around 6 nautical miles, and it's a quite comfortable and easy run. A good test for the boat. So you can see here that the Chris from Yacht Works and his crew were fitting the lazy bag and putting the rod through that holds the lazy bag lines up halfway up the mast and holds the bag in place so that the sail drops into the bag when you lower the sail. So the rod that he's threading through there holds the lines in place for the lazy bag that go 3/4 of the way up the mast, and the idea is the sail, when lowered, drops into the bag and keeps it neat and tidy and much easier to manage and handle. So then they did the same thing on the port side of the sail bag, lazy bag, and threaded the rod through, and as it was threaded through, fitted up the line that holds the sail bag up, and that line can be used to lower the bag and widen the bag so you can drop the sail in when you're doing it single-handed, and it just makes it easier to drop it in. Then you can pull it back up and tighten it up, and then zip the sail bag, the lazy bag, up to keep and protect the sail from the weather. They had a little bit of trouble with the pulleys at 3/4 of the way up the mast that actually feed the lazy bag lines, and they needed to be replaced. So that meant a man had to go up the mast, remove the small little pulleys on either side, and then put new ones in before the job was completed. So then it was time to put the head sail back. Some people call it a Genoa, some people call it a jib. And here's the young bloke using the Dyneema line to assist Chris in dragging the swivel pulley on the furling system up the mast, This is Chris attaching the top of the head of the genoa to the swivel, and then it was slowly fed into the rail track and fed up the line, fed up the foil to the top of the mast. So you can see where he's handling now, that area had to be stitched and repaired. The whole head sail was repaired 2 years ago in Koh Samui by a curtain maker who did a really good job, but he didn't have a machine that would do zigzag stitching, so the whole head sail had to be stitched in the correct manner and the wear and tear repaired. So I was happy to get that done. I've lowered the head sails a number of times and put them back up myself, and so I do know what to do, or I think I do know what to do. Those sailors that are watching this who have a lot more experience would take it as just second nature, but for me, I have to pay attention and concentrate when doing that. So you can see that the finished repair job looks good, and it actually swings and furls up nice and neat and easily. So you can see them now putting loops in, and on the Dyneema line that was new and had replaced the faulty stainless steel halyard that holds the head sail up in the track, and you can see them using a bit of weight to get the tension right, and then there's a slide that runs down the mast that just needed to be clipped or clicked into place. Here the head sail is being wound in by the young bloke at the helm station, and while it was being wound in, you can see the other worker just checking the system and making sure that it was working correctly. Just a little bit of information, you'll see down the bottom right of the corner there's a traveller, and the head sail swings from port to starboard on that in a self-righting manner, so you don't need to wind in the halyards to starboard or port. That works great in normal weather, but if you want to, in light weather, I'd put out a pole and tie extra halyards in to keep the sail further out on the starboard and port sides. So then the crew from Yacht Works went about putting on and installing the head sail, and the head sail was second hand. I couldn't afford a new one, so now I have two head sails, but the old one is stored in the storage locker, and this new head sail is a little bit lighter and a little bit easier to pull up the mast, which is great when I'm single-handed. And you can see them having a little bit of trouble fitting the bolts, if you want to call it that, into the slider that goes up the mast. So they had to cut just a little bit of the sail in an area that was not going to have an effect or damage the sail in any way, but to remove that a quarter inch so that the sail was closer into the bracket that's the sail is bolted into through an eye in the top of that sail. They also had to install another eye to connect the halyard to raise and lower the sail. It only had one eye on this particular sail. So after a little bit of maintenance and fiddling, they got it to work to the way they wanted, and after all, these people are professionals and know what they're doing, and he's attaching the main halyard, and then they of course pulled the sail up slowly, and here it is going up slowly, and it went up before the rods were placed in, the battens were placed in the sail, and at each stage the battens were slid in and secured before the sail was completely up to the top of the mast, and then it was lowered back into the sail bag. I'm sure you've heard this before, but please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and push on the notification bell. That'd help a lot. By the way, please share my videos with other people. The video was produced by myself, and it's the end of another exciting video of sail repairs part 2 of my haul out report so far, part 39.